Okay, hello friends, and welcome back to the nature program. I'm Miss Jan, and one thing that I wanted to talk to you about especially is the idea of being kind in nature. When we're out there looking at things, we want to go slowly and be calm and actually look at them, observe them, and be patient. Sometimes just sit and look at a little pile of dirt or something, and as you sit quietly and they realize that you're not moving, that you're not going to squish them, they'll start moving around, and you'll see a lot more about what their lives are like and what they do. So go slowly and try not to be wild so that they don't get worried and scared of you. So, because most insects do not want to bite or sting you, but sometimes when we get excited and upset, they react, trying to chase us away. And they might do that. Except the one animal that is an exception to that is the mosquito. And I learned from this book that mosquitoes lived all the way back in the time of the dinosaurs. And they used to feed off the dinosaur blood. That's what they had to eat. There are more than 2,700 different kinds of mosquitoes. Isn't that mind-boggling? And all mosquitoes need water to lay their eggs in. Ponds, puddles, ditches, bird baths, barrels, and tree holes are a good place for mosquitoes to hatch their larvae to grow. So if you don't want a lot of mosquitoes around your home, what you might want to do is look at places where water can collect, because that's where the mosquitoes will lay their eggs. And you can prevent them from laying them in your neighborhood. So that is just a book. It has a lot of information about mosquitoes. If you're interested in learning more, you can pick that up here at the Shaler North Hills Library. Okay, so here are some up close and personal pictures and explanations about spiders. So this is a good book if you'd like to just kind of browse through it and see it. Okay. So another one is thinking about ants and all the different types of ants there are. I have no idea. Look, this is a real large view of, I think this is a daisy. Here's the white petals and the yellow center, and those are teeny tiny little ants in there. Here's an apple. Here's a seed, and you can see the ants there. And throughout this book, there are more kinds of ants than I ever knew really existed. And some of the way that they tunnel under and build their homes. And they like to get into food sometimes if it's left out. So just to whet your appetite, if you're interested in ants, that is a really good book to look at. Okay. Now this book has ants, but it also has spiders. And other insects. So there are some of this also has really nice imagery that you can look at and lots of different details. But I wanted to share with you the butterfly, and the kind of scary dung beetle. They all have a place. And then we come to this one where we're talking about camouflage. And I don't know if you can tell, but there are 3 things in this little triangle that are related. This is a flower. This is an insect. And this is an orchid mantis that is normally white, but it can change its color to blend in with whatever it is that they want to eat. And And so this orchid changed into pink to blend in with that flower. So nature has all kinds of wonderful things that it does. And this is a good book for you to learn about that in. Now I have another book called Manuelo the Playing Mantis. So mantises are really cool creatures. And you might be seeing them this time of year if you have any moist spots in your yard or something. They start out teeny tiny. I once had a stick that had a little ball attached to it, and I thought it was kind of pretty, and I kept it, and I took it in my house, and I just let it sit there. And about 3 months later, I went into my room. That was on the desk, looking pretty, and there were all these little bugs coming out. They were teeny tiny little bugs like this, but there were so many of them, and I kept scooping them up and taking them outside, and I'd go back in and scoop up some more, and they just kept coming and coming. And then I found out that they were praying mantises. And so there were just a ton of them. I took them all outside, all that I could find, and hopefully this summer we'll see some grown-up mantises that came from that little, it's called a gall. It's a place where a plant has grown and it's gotten injured somehow. And I think what it was the mantis inserted its eggs into that stem, and they grew up in there and grew up in my house. This is called Manuelo the Playing Mantis. Now, I'm not going to read all of it to you because it has a lot of pages and a lot of words, but I think you'll appreciate it. One warm summer evening in Cloverdale Meadow, a lonely praying mantis named Manuelo stood still as a stick, listening to the beautiful music coming over the hill. Manuelo had attended these outdoor concerts many times before, and he knew the shapes and sounds of all the different instruments. His favorite sounds were those of the flute, the trumpet, the harp, and the cello. So there he is up on his branch, and down here is the concert happening, and all the humans there listening to the music. So when the concert was over, he climbed down from his perch in the thicket and went home to the pond. Hopefully, Manuelo started rubbing his legs against his wings the way crickets and grasshoppers and katydids do when they sing. But as hard as he rubbed, he heard only silence and the clicking of a cricket coming nearer and nearer. Clickety-click, it chirped. A mantis can't make music the way I can. And then just as quickly as it had appeared, it disappeared into the tall grass. There must be something I can do, Manuelo sighed to himself. Then all at once, he thought of an idea. I know, he said, I'll make a flute. At the water's edge, Manuelo found exactly what he needed, a hollow cattail. In the middle of the pond, a frog sat, practicing his singing. He stopped his croaking and watched as Manuelo clipped off one of the tall reeds and nipped several tiny holes in its stem. But when Manuelo held up his flute and began to blow, not a sound came through, not even a toot. Grumph, grumph, croaked the frog. We frogs know how to croak. Now that is music. A mantis can't make music the way frogs can. And with that, he jumped into the water. However, Manuelo hadn't even noticed the frog. His mind was on setting out to find another kind of instrument to play. So this book goes on. He gets a trumpet flower and he tries to play a horn, and that doesn't work. And then he finds a twig and he thinks it'll work like a harp, but that didn't work. Poor Manuelo was very sad. At that moment, 3 katydids came into the clearing and began to chat. Katydid, Katy, don't you know a mantis can't make music the way we can? Manuelo was discouraged and almost ready to give up trying when he heard something whirring above his head. "Take heart, my good fellow," said a thin, wispy voice. "I know how you feel. I can't make music either. I wonder who it is. What do you think?" There it is, a spider. Turning his head completely around, Manuelo looked up and saw a spindly spider suspended by a thread from above. "My name is Debbie, and I've been watching you all evening," she said, as she slid lower and lower until she hung directly in front of Manuelo's face. "If you do as I tell you, maybe, together, we can make a cello. But first of all, you must promise not to eat me." Manuelo's eyes widened. He had forgotten all about the cello. "Why, of course, I promise not to eat you," and he meant it. This could be worth 1,000 meals. "All right then," advised the spider. "First, you must fetch me an empty walnut shell and a stick with a curlicue at the end." Without asking any questions, Manuelo went around searching everywhere. In hardly any time at all, he found half a walnut and a stick with a curlicue. Tucking them both under his arms, he rushed back to his spindly spider friend. "Now, my good mantis," said Debbie, "if you will fix the stick tightly to the shell, I will spin some strong strings for you." No sooner had Debbie whispered this than Manuelo attached the stick to the walnut shell. He watched as the nimble spider spun 4 strong silken threads from one end of the stick to the other. "All we need now is a bow," said Debbie. "Can you think of something that would do the trick?" Yes, I know," exclaimed Manuelo. "I saw a bluebird's feather. That should make a splendid bow." And indeed, it did. At last, Manuelo was ready to play his cello. Taking the bow in his right hand, he began moving it softly across the silken threads. As he bowed back and forth, the most beautiful melody filled the night air. Debbie swayed to and fro, keeping perfect time to the music like a pendulum. Gradually, from the grassy glade, from behind the fig tree, and from out of the pond, crickets, grasshoppers, katydids, and frogs came creeping forward, making a wide circle around Manuelo. As they listened, each creature could not resist joining in with the cello's mellow music. Soon everyone was taking part in the concert with clicking, fiddling, wing singing, and deep-throated croaking. Never was there a more glorious insect symphony. On and on, far into the night, Manuelo played to everyone's delight. As the first glow of dawn lighted the morning sky, Manuelo rose slowly to his full height and stretched his arms out wide, a sight which served as a warning to the rest of the orchestra to take leave. Manuelo waited for Debbie Webster to slide down inside the hollow nutshell. Then he slung the cello over his shoulder and strode across the meadow to his home in the thicket. And there's the spider. And every summer night thereafter, Manuelo played his cello while Debbie swayed back and forth by his side. The end. Okay, and thank you for listening. And I hope you have a chance to see some of the other things that we have for you. This is a map of Schenley Park, which is the park that I visited today. And hopefully you'll get to visit that place too. All right, thank you for listening. Bye-bye. Okay, so here we are looking at the Visitors Center to Schenley Park. And as you can see, it's a really interesting road that goes down, and there's a lot of traffic, so there's a lot of noise. As we look across the street, we see Phipps Conservatory, and it looks like there's a lot of construction or something going on over there, so we'll look at that later. But right now we're going to go back here to the Schenley shelter. Okay, so this is the Schenley Park Cafe and Visitor Center. As you can see, it's very pretty. A lot of nice flowers. Unfortunately, it's closed right now due to the pandemic that we're currently in. But I'm going to take some still pictures and let you see some things up close. Okay, so that's where we came down, and now we're in this great tunnel. You can see how old it is. And then in the distance there, you can see the bottom part of Phipps Conservatory, and off to the left are some solar collectors. So they're really good at using the energy that they can find in nature. Okay, here we are at the bottom of the stairs that we would have walked down. And I'm going to come up here and share with you another informational plaque. It says Schenley Park. And here's some information about the bridges and about who made the park. It was the Works Progress Administration. Okay, so we can take two paths here. There's that one that is a stone bridge that goes around. But then down here is another set of stairs, and we'll go under that bridge. Okay, here's the underside of the bridge coming up. And I just want to mention that, boy, when you walk into the woods, it gets cool very quickly. It's very refreshing. So this might be a good place to go on a hot Saturday when you're looking for something to do. And I just want to point out the amazing structure that this is, all put together by stones, with stones, I should say. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of trees, a lot of plants of different kinds, a lot of sounds, humans. There are some people up there riding a bike on the trail, and you can hear some bird songs too if you listen very carefully. Okay, so I've been wandering along, and I crossed over this bridge that has a little stream running through it. And now, I don't know if you can see them, there are bicyclists riding by, because we are now at the lowest part. And look at that. I don't know if you can tell what it is, but off in the near distance is a lake. So I'm going to walk up there and show you in more detail. Back there is a little bit of jewel weed, which you might see in your yard or along banks of rivers. They like it wet. Okay, so here's a path that I have not taken yet, I don't think. So I'm going to walk up to the top of this and see where we come out. See you at the top. Okay, we're back in Panther Hollow. We're going to walk across that bridge and go see what's on the other part of campus. Okay, so I made it to the top of the stairs. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a panoramic view. Again, you see those solar panels and the Cathedral of Learning and that red-roofed place there, and then Phipps, and then we're back to where we started. This is just a little panoramic view. That's the opening to a tunnel that takes you to the other side where the children's playground is, which I'll show you in a minute. And that sidewalk goes around and up the hill. And here's the pool, which would be open in earlier times. And then a path and some beautiful flowers. So I'll let you see where we go next. So here's the Cathedral of Learning. Over there is a different kind of cathedral. Okay, and as you can see, there's Dippy at the library, and more library and more library. And then this beautiful, again, wooded and cool place. And right in the middle of it is this interesting building. And I think it might be related to Stephen Foster, but I'm going to look that up for you and let you know. Okay, and similar to some other parks that we've seen, this has a large expanse. I see some people picnicking up there, and I saw somebody playing frisbee golf way down here, and I think he was aiming to go up there. So we'll see. Okay, so this is what Pittsburgh looks like from the other side of the road and up on top of the hill. And I can see in front of me, there's a lot of cars and more play equipment. It looks like a very vibrant and fun park. So I hope you all get a chance to visit someday.